Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. We're following along this year with Sarah Ban Breathnach's book, Simple Abundance, the newly updated 2019 edition, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. I am combining a couple of things today because I'm finding it more and more difficult to carve out some time to be with you guys, and there's a bunch of things to discuss. Firstly, I want to say something about the last video where I was talking about the comfort drawer. I'm wondering if anybody did that. Definitely share in the comments. And I realized after I videotaped that there was something else I wanted to mention, and one of the corresponding comments sort of reinforced that I want to bring this up today. So there was a comment about someone saying like, oh, I don't want to have this drawer with more stuff in it, you know? And I totally get that. But it's not necessarily about the stuff. And personally, most of my things were consumable, right? Like teas and things like that. But I get it that this is another area of your house where there's more stuff. But what I wanted to say and what would probably solve that issue is that if you don't resonate with having that gathering spot of comforting items that you want to go to, you want to at least contemplate a few things ahead of time. So the whole thing about the comfort drawer is to be prepared for there will be times in your life where you need that comfort, right? So you've already pre-paved and taken those steps ahead of time to make sure that you have some tools in place. So I meant to mention, and I've mentioned it in one other video too, but Cheryl Richardson's book, The Art of Extreme Self-Care. There's a lot of mirroring actually between some of the Simple Abundance things. But she has a challenge because she has 12 challenges. It's a year-long book. And one of them is to create a self-care kit. And it's like a first aid kit. Yeah, she calls it a self-care first aid kit. And so it's not unlike the comfort drawer, but it's more about answering some questions as opposed and like really contemplating these things ahead of time, as opposed to just gathering like self-care items like I mentioned last time, like my little Malamute dog and stuff. So I'm going to read out, this is in her book on page 103, and I'll put the link to her book in the comments too. But so and you could write these down in your journal. These are really great questions to contemplate so that as you're putting together this thing ahead of time to really identify where you can be prepared for some comfort and self-care first aid, right? So here are 10 questions. First one is, who can I turn to for support when I'm afraid? Who comforts me and makes me feel safe and allows me to have my feelings? That's really important to know who you can turn to, because every friend has... That's a friend of mine right now sending me a message on my other device. That's funny. Every friend has a different reaction to things. Like you might have a really great friend that's great for social activities, but then if you try to bear anything to that person, then they don't really give you the exact support that you need, right? I have a friend that does such a great job of just listening and never tries to offer solutions or advice, because those sorts of things honestly irritate me. And then I feel like I have to be defensive or like explain why I don't want to do something that someone suggests to me. So I do have a friend who I know is there for me, and that I can just be like, I need to vent, and then they say the perfect things. Like, and it's never stuff that irritates me. It's always things like, I'm sorry, I know how you are, I've had those same things happen. So everybody is like, and you might not resonate. You might want someone to tell you what to do or to try to solve it for you. So anyway, that was a big explanation for that first one. But knowing who the people are that you can turn to for the support that you need and the type that resonates with you is really important. Second question, who do I need to avoid? Who adds to my anxiety level, overwhelms me with questions, or has a tough time just listening without interpreting or offering advice? There we go. So there might be people that you, maybe a family member or something, that you just know anytime you say something to them, there's this judgment, or they have this advice that you're like, that is something I would never do. And you just get more irritated. Number 3, what does my body need to feel nurtured, strong, and healthy? That's important to know. Number 4, what responsibilities or commitments do I need to let go of to clear some space so that I'm able to feel my feelings and do what's necessary to honor my needs? That can be as simple as saying no. There are times that I've been invited to social gatherings and I'm not in a good place, and there are some times where people feel like if they're around other people that it helps them, but for me it's like going and being around a group when I'm in such a bad place, it's exhausting. So I make my excuses, and I've had some people in my life that, they just don't understand if I don't say something like, oh, I'm going to be out of town or whatever, or I just say I'm not available, or I don't really give explanation, they might feel offended, like that well, we're not going to invite her anymore. But the thing is, I'm doing it for my own mental sanity. So you have to know those things. And maybe you're so outstretched right now. I've been much better in my life about saying no. I used to join committees and I just used to take on everything. And now I know to say no to a lot of things because I already have such a difficult time balancing my work and life and everything. So I say no. Number 5, what unhelpful coping strategies or activities do I need to avoid? Like overeating, or I don't know. Everybody has their own sorts of things like that. Hopefully it's not like drugs or anything. Number 6, what spiritual practice restores my faith and connects me with God or a higher power of my own understanding? I think that's important too. Number 7, what do I need to feel comforted at this time, which would be like at the time that you are going through something difficult. So I think that when you know what you need, that you can do those things for yourself if possible, or you can at least communicate that to friends and other people in your life. You can say, hey, you know what I really need right now? Maybe you need space. Sometimes people just need to have quiet and to be alone. Number 8, how will I best express my feelings? I don't think I struggle with that one. If anything, I can't hold my feelings back. Number 9, what object can I use as a talisman that will remind me to breathe, relax my thinking mind, and return my awareness to the present moment? That could be something as simple as like those worry stones, that have like the imprint of the little, like where you put your thumb and you can just circle it around. Number 10, what can I do when I need to take a break from the emotional stress? What is my best healthy distraction? I was just watching The Bachelor last night. I love The Bachelor. And I was telling a friend that, it was such a mess, but it's a distraction that helps me get through things when I feel like my own life is a mess. All right, so back to the book. Back to Sarah's book. I have both books today because I'm going to touch upon 2 things that I mentioned that she took out of the new book, and just a quick video that I'll put the 2 of them in together. But I will say, if you're following along in the new book, we're getting into the time where we're talking about fashion and our clothing and things like that. And I always remember whenever I've read the book that I'm just not super jazzed about this whole time. And it seems to go on and on. I don't know if it's going to be as long as it was in the old book, but some things to be thinking about. She did suggest to us earlier in the week that if you are thinking about your sense of style and how it, like whether it really speaks from an authentic place, that you start to gather things perhaps in your illustrated discovery journal where you're cutting out images or finding things on the internet that you're like, whoa, that is the woman that I want to look like. Like, so you could add a section to your illustrated discovery journal as you're gathering those things, or taking screenshots, or however you like to collect images, to really just give some thought. Maybe, I know for me, like, this shirt is an example. I have probably had this shirt since, actually, I know I've had it at least since 2010. So 10 years, probably longer. I'm just like that. I'm not a big shopper. Usually buy like maybe one or two new things a year, but maybe my style is not uplifting me. I don't know. She does say, I highlighted this one thing to read about authenticity, and whether or not you're projecting that to the world in the way that you look and everything. No more settling for something that's not you or that's second rate. On the simple abundance path, you're going to discover the joy of surrounding yourself only with things you love, and the pleasure of wearing only clothes that make you look and feel fabulous and project your authentic sense of style. Let the potent power of simplicity begin to work in your life. It's not authentically you. If it's not authentically you, live without it. So that could apply to other things too. Like, as we end up downsizing and going through our houses and maybe getting rid of some things that don't feel like they speak from your authentic self. And that doesn't just have to apply to clothes, but maybe give some thought to your style and whether it's time for a revamp. Or what I was thinking recently is I would like to go through my closet, and I like a lot of my clothes already, but maybe it's like getting some new accessories, like new scarves or necklaces or things, like a little jacket or shawl or something that just kind of spruces it up and makes it feel a little bit new. And I do agree with her that it's like, if you're wearing stuff that you just feel like, this feels so light and beautiful. I remember I had a job where I had to wear either black or white every day, and I didn't realize how affected I was by it until I was done with that job, and then I was able to wear any color I wanted, and it was like this whole new life, because I felt like I was like coming alive again, and that I could actually like be my colorful self, because I think I'm pretty colorful. I'm pretty all over the place. All right, so then what did I want to tell you about today? These two new tools. So we learned about the comfort drawer. That one was not taken out of the new book. But the other two things that I mentioned are a hope chest and a toy box. And I was thinking later about why maybe she did take these out, and it might be because she felt like simplifying is sort of not having these extra gathering spots around the house. So these might not resonate with you either, but they're still fun. So what's a hope chest? I think we all think of like when you got married in the olden days and your dad or your mom had put together this hope chest with like maybe like a blanket for your bed and I don't know, seeds for the farm. I don't know actually what was in there. Probably like family heirlooms too, or like maybe a new tablecloth, stuff like that. So I don't know that, like, many of us are probably already married or later in life, or like it's not anything that like connects to us in that respect of like thinking of the hope chest as being something that your family's passed down to you. This is more for your projects that you're wanting to do. So like if you're a knitter, or it's like almost like a hobby area where you've gathered your things for a later project that you're working on. And it, how we were talking about what was it? Oh, the someday box. So that's kind of like this hope chest in some respects too, where you were gathering where you were going to go and things like that. So that would be that, those things could be in your hope chest. I'll just read a little bit this is from the old book, like I said, on the March 5th entry in the old book. Not every one of our desires can be immediately gratified. We've got to learn to wait patiently for our dreams to come true, especially on the path we've chosen. But while we wait, we need to prepare symbolically a place for our hopes and dreams. I've even started a wicker hamper for my daughter, which I'm filling up with books by my favorite women authors to give to her on her 16th birthday. I hope, in quotes, to present them to her in a beautiful cedar-lined chest. Then my dream of a loving mother and daughter packing hopes together for a young woman's future will come true. So this was written 20 plus years ago, 25 years ago now. So times are different, but I like this idea of a hope chest because I think having hope for the future is good. So maybe it's not a chest, maybe it's your journal, maybe it's your illustrated discovery journal. But if you have hobbies and things, like maybe you want to make a quilt someday, or learning another language or something like that, and it's like this is where you're keeping those things related to your hopes for the future. And the other one is creating a toy box. I should have done the video in my other room where I actually have a toy chest that my dad made when I was little. And so I wonder if maybe because she's so much later in her life now when she rewrote the book that this one didn't resonate as much, but it still resonates with me because I'm such a child at heart. And in my toy box, I do have tons of games. I love games. And she is encouraging us in this one. This is again in the old book for March 6th. If you want to check that out. I'll read a little bit here. See, okay, I'm actually not going to read because it's long, but she's talking about, whenever you're out and you see, like, remember I mentioned my little safari animal set that I had when I was little? It's like whenever you're out and about and you see something like that, that just speaks to little you. Maybe I should buy a little safari set. I do have like a little mermaid figurine that could actually like get wet in the shower, because when I was little I used to have all these mermaids that I played with in the bathtub, and so I did get one of those, and it's in my shower area. Like, so things like that are just fun little toys that are fun for you. Maybe you like those Zen gardens, with the sand and the little rake, and like that would be a toy in some respects. So this is another little gathering spot, and it's just something like when you're out and about. These can be things at the dollar store even, that I'm trying to think of, like maybe it's markers and crayons and things like that. Remember we talked about getting back in touch with our little self, the one that hopefully you got a picture of and that you've been honoring. What does she want to have around? So this is just a fun little tool. So that's the toy box. Play is the exaltation of the possible, Martin Barber reminds us. Now get your toys. Go out and play like a good big girl. I was told one time that, I loved Play-Doh when I was growing up. And I was told one time by a counselor, like, you should get some Play-Doh. And then, like, just the feeling of it, like, playing with it in your hands. Like, that actually resonates with me. Maybe I'll go out and get some Play-Doh. Just taking some time. It may seem like such a foreign concept to, like, sit down and play with yourself. But for me, it's like I love my puzzles, too. So that could be, I do have actually a puzzle that I just bought when I was at the Butterfly Sanctuary in February that I need to break out. It's sort of like, the winter snow-in basket. That was filled with some fun little toys too, like coloring pages and things like that. So what do you think about these new things? I hope you give some time to that self-care first aid kit and think about your fashion and some of the people that you might be seeing that you want to emulate with the looks, and maybe revamping some of the things that you have, or even just consciously choosing your outfit in the morning. Like, no, this doesn't really speak to me, or this doesn't really represent like who I want to show to the world. And then what do you think about the hope chest and the toy box? You gonna do any of those? Hope you're getting some ideas and connecting with yourself and bringing a little bit of life into the days. It's nice to see that spring is coming back to the Northeast. We might have some snow next week, but it's nice to see that we're on our way to warmer weather. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for being here. And we just hit 50 subscribers as of yesterday. So thanks for being one of them and for watching, and I will see you on the next video.